Always be honest. A lesson on honesty for children from Choice Stories for Children. Choice Stories for Children. Always be honest. Some years ago, a father who had lost his companion lived in the slums of one of the large cities. With him lived his little son, whom people had nicknamed Freckles. Daily, this man tried to do both a father's and a mother's duty in building into his boy's heart a faith in eternal things. They lived in very meager quarters, and there was not a square foot of grass on which, or a tree under which, the child could play. Usually, Freckles had to stay home and amuse himself while his father was away looking for odd jobs here and there. But one day, his father took him along. As they were passing a pretty home with a spacious lawn where grew shrubs, trees, flowers, and green grass, the little boy tried to pull away from his father's hand. "What is wrong, son?" he asked. "I want to go on that nice green grass and play until you come back, father," he said. "Those people will not let you play on their lawn, son. That is their yard. They keep it very nice, don't they?" he explained to the little boy. Freckles sighed, and as they walked on, he kept looking back. The man felt keenly the lack of the temporal blessings for which his boy longed. Upon returning to their dingy, slum home, Freckles asked, "Daddy, why can't we have some grass and flowers and trees where Johnny, Mac, and I sometimes play?" Freckles' father was a faithful reader of the Holy Scriptures. He sat down in his chair and told the lad about the beautiful things he would be able to enjoy in the better world to come if he would be a good boy. In describing that eternal home, he said, "Listen, Sonny, when we get to that better land, we also will have a beautiful home. There we will have all kinds of lovely flowers, trees, and green grass for you to enjoy. Will the birds sit on our trees and sing for us too? Will Jesus let me have a little doggy to play with?" he asked. "And will there also be a nice Shetland pony for me?" "Yes," came the assuring answer. "I am sure Jesus will give you all the lovely things you need to be completely happy. Perhaps he will even have a nice Shetland pony for you and a fine swing in one of the trees." Freckles never grew weary of hearing of this beautiful home. One night his father returned late. He had had a long day. But little Freckles crawled up into his daddy's lap and as usual, he pleaded, "Daddy, please tell me again about heaven. When can we go there? How much does it cost to go there? I will go and sell some papers so that we can get the money quickly. May I, Daddy?" Thus came the questions, one after another. The father pressed his little boy to his heart as he began. "No, my son, you are too young to sell papers. You can help me later, but not now. If you'll be a good boy and always be honest and do right, then you will someday be able to go to that beautiful home and you will not have to pay your fare." The boy listened very attentively, and all the while other questions arose in the anxious little heart. His father always stressed the thought that only right living would give him a home in heaven. The child was deeply impressed by what he heard. One evening, the father came home very, very tired. Not able to eat supper, he lay down on the hard bed and sighed. "Don't you feel good, Daddy? I will rub your feet. I know they're tired," said Freckles as he tried to rub his father's aching feet. Then he lay down beside him and soon was sound asleep. But the man was ill. The next day, he told Freckles to call the neighbor. He was now almost too ill to speak. But when the neighbor arrived, the father said, "I am worried about my little boy. If something should happen to me, would you please take care of him? He is a good boy. He will help you when he has a few more months on him. Please, will you do that for me?" But the neighbor made no promise, for she was too poor. She also was too poor. The sick man's fever rose rapidly. He pressed his little boy to his heart and admonished him once more. "Dear son, I may have to leave you, but God will always be near you. He will care for you if you will talk to him often in prayer and always be honest. Never take anything that does not belong to you, son. Someday you and mother and I will meet in that beautiful home which I have told you about." With these words, he fell asleep. Before morning came, he became delirious, and 4 days later, the world looked very dark to little Freckles. The house seemed dreadfully empty, but it was home, and he hoped to continue there. However, this was not to be, for shortly after he had suffered his greatest loss, he was put on the street with his few belongings. Freckles could think of only one thing, and that was to find a corner where he might sell newspapers. At last, he located a small nook between two buildings. He packed his few things there, then went to look for a newsboy. Finally, he spied one. He ran over and gathered from him some information regarding his future work. As soon as he could get some papers, he too stood at the street corner calling out, "Newspaper! Buy a newspaper, please." The days were long and lonely. He hardly sold enough to supply himself with food. One day, a little dog came sniffing along. He looked starved and homeless. Freckles talked to him and even gave him some of the dry bread that he had in his pocket. Soon the nervous creature sat down and leaned against his new friend's legs. This pleased the boy very much. When evening came, Freckles started for the little spot he now called home. The dog followed and crawled with him. He crawled in with him. The two became fast friends. They slept together and were seen together day after day. Freckles shared his meager meals with this, his only friend, who helped him to keep him warm at night. One day, when Freckles was standing at his usual place and calling out his papers, a well-dressed lady dropped her purse. As she stepped into her beautiful, shiny car and drove away, Freckles picked up the purse and looked into it. There he saw many shiny dollars. Would he take some? Oh no, he said to himself. They are not mine. I will run after the car. Perhaps I can catch up with it at the spotlight at the end of the block. Off he went, with his little dog right at his heels. He ran up to the car, waving the purse at the lady. "Oh, thank you," she said, and tossed him a tip. The lady was greatly pleased with the newsboy's honesty. She felt that she ought to do something for him. After much meditation, she was impressed to adopt him if she could do so. She began procedures at once. A number of weeks later, she drove up to the corner where stood the dirty, weary, freckle-faced newsboy. She called him to her car and asked to buy some papers. He had about a dozen under his arm. She bought them all. Freckles was happily surprised. "Come, get into the car. I want to give you a ride. You have no papers to sell now," the lady suggested. Freckles hesitated a bit as he looked at her beautiful clothes and lovely car. Then he said, "Thank you, madam, but I am only a newsboy. I do not have nice clothes. Besides, I have a little partner. I call him Nip, and myself I call Tuck, because with us it is nip and tuck to make a living," he continued with a smile. "He goes with me wherever I go. He is my only friend. He is the only friend I have." "I am glad you have a friend. Let Nip come in too," she replied. Freckles and Nip entered and settled down as the lady drove off. Soon they were out of the busy business district and were winding around in an attractive residential section. Freckles was wishing his father could be enjoying the ride with him, seeing the pretty houses and clean streets. Suddenly they were driving up a long hill. When they reached the top, they drove into a beautiful yard. As they neared the house, he saw a swinging tree, and beside the tree stood a Shetland pony. The car stopped, and the lady opened the door. "Step out, son, and enjoy yourself. This is your home. That Shetland pony will be yours, and Nip may stay too," she said. Freckles looked around nervously and excitedly. Then, taking hold of the lady's hand and looking into her face, he asked, "Is this heaven? If it is, please take me to my father." Tears filled her eyes as she answered the boy's question. "I will do my best to make this a little heaven for you until Jesus comes to take us all to his great heaven. I hope that when we shall enter into that beautiful place, you will see your father and mother again. Jesus will be there too. Won't that be wonderful?" But my father told me that heaven was a beautiful place like this, well, it is just like he told me. Please tell me, is this heaven?" He continued. The kind woman took the lad into the house, washed him, and put new clothes on him. Then she said, "Freckles, my boy, you do not have to go back to selling papers. I am going to adopt you, and you will be my little boy." "Oh, you talk just like my daddy did. How did you know that I prayed for a home? I was very lonesome after my father died," said Freckles. "Shall I tell you how I knew?" she asked. Freckles looked rather surprised while he listened to his new mother as she read. "The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry." Psalm 34:15. The righteous cry, And the Lord heard and delivered them out of all their troubles. Psalm 34:17. Then she added, God heard your cries, and because you were honest, I was impressed to bring you home and adopt you as my boy.